Hi everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about something really important for entrepreneurs, small business people, and creative professionals, and that is presentation skills. This is actually a request video from one of my viewers, Raheel Anwar, who asked how can he improve his presentation skills. The first thing you need to know is that presenting in public or speaking in public is scary. So if you are afraid of public speaking, you are not alone. In fact, 25% of people in the world rank public speaking as the #1 fear that they have. This runs first, followed by heights, followed by bugs and snakes. So speaking in public is scary to a lot of people. If you're a designer or a creative professional, you are called upon regularly to present your work. So you have to stand up in front of either clients or your peers and talk about what it is that you've produced. Entrepreneurs and small business people regularly have to pitch new business to groups of people, or have to speak in public at conferences, or they have to, pitch new investors to get investment in their business. So as I talk about improving your presentation skills, I'm going to break it into 3 buckets: prep, what you do in the room, and what you do afterwards. So let's talk about prep a little bit. One of the things you can do to improve your skills is you can watch the greats. TED has some amazing videos from some of the best speakers in the world, and I encourage you to look at as many TED Talks as you can and really kind of deconstruct what people do. How do they start off their talk? How do they engage the audience? How do they tell a story? How do they walk? How do they move? How do they present the slides that are behind them? What's the cadence of their speech? Do they tell jokes? Are they serious? Are they quiet? Are they loud? Deconstruct how different people present. You can learn a lot from that. Also, preparing for your speech or how you present is the most important thing. So knowing your material. You need to know your material cold. You need to read through it 1,000,000 times. Write speaker notes and read through them. Internalize it. You want to practice it. You want to run through it over and over. One thing that you can do that's really helpful is to watch yourself. You can either watch yourself in a mirror, which is tough to do because as you're speaking and also looking at yourself, it can be very disconcerting. So actually speaking to a mirror is one of those things that's very helpful in learning presentation skills. The other thing you can do is to audio tape yourself or videotape yourself. I suggest video. Everyone's got a smartphone in their pocket, so they can videotape themselves very easily. You will notice your habits of speech, whether you say or ah, or have long pauses, or whether you're rushing your speech, or whether you're pacing too much, or whether you're using the hands too much. Those things will become really apparent to you as you present and practice and run through your talk or your speech. And when you watch those things, try to make note of the things that you want to improve. And next time you video yourself, try to be a little better at it. Try to watch your ums and ahs or how you're moving your hands. Do it over and over and try to refine your comfort with how you present. And also, because you're watching yourself, it's really easy to lose perspective. So you are watching yourself and you can't distance yourself from seeing what other people might be able to see. So it's also important to get feedback or invite constructive criticism from other people. Get them to watch the video, or better yet, present to other people, your wife, your girlfriend, your significant other, and ask them to give you constructive feedback and not hold back around what it is that you're doing that's great and what it is that you're doing that may not be so great. So let's talk about the second bucket of presentation skills, and that's what you do when you're in the room. The first thing you do is when you get to the room, you show up to the room early so you can have a moment to collect your thoughts, to breathe, so you're not feeling rushed going into your presentation. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your stuff works. And what I mean by that is if you have note cards or if you have a laptop or you're using a projector, make sure that your laptop has the right plugs to go to the projector, that your laptop is charged, that you have backup. So if your laptop crashes for some inexplicable reason, the second that you're about to start your presentation, which has happened, you have note cards, you have some sort of cue or printout to how you're going to present, or how you could conceivably even present without slides if you're showing slides. Having backup and being prepared for a disaster is important. I'm going to tell you a really quick story. I was presenting to Disney once. We were pitching Disney, and I brought my laptop that had the presentation on it in my backpack. When we showed up to Disney, they wanted to give us a tour of the corporate offices. And they gave us bottles of water. I took a sip out of my water and then I put it in my backpack. When I got to the presentation room, I opened my backpack in order to pull my laptop out, and when I pulled it out, it was dripping with water. The bottle had opened in my backpack. The backpack was waterproof, so it kept the water in it, and it had soaked and destroyed my laptop. Luckily, I had a backup of that presentation on a thumb drive, and I was able to use someone else's laptop to make the presentation. So stuff happens. Have backup. Be prepared for disaster. Now, when you're getting up and you're actually starting to present, you want to set the stage. When you talk to people when you're presenting, you want to, number one, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them why you're going to tell them. Then you give your presentation and you tell them. And at the end of your presentation, you tell them what you told them. So you set it up with an introduction and very clear about what you're presenting and why. You give the presentation, and then you follow it up and clarify with a conclusion of what it is that you've done. It grounds people in the beginning, the middle, and the end of a presentation. When you're starting off your presentation, the first thing you want to do is you want to own the room. This is the one time in life where you really want to be the center of attention. You want to focus everyone's eyes and attention to you. You can do this, and there's a great trick in doing this, is ask the audience a question and then get them to respond by raising their hands. Some speakers actually have people stand up. They tell them to do something. They are taking control and forcing people to do something. That gives them the control of the room, and they are the director of what's happening in the room. Now, if you're presenting with slides, this is a really important one. Don't read your slides. A lot of people present with way too much text on a slide. It's called death by PowerPoint. And what happens is some people can't not read their slides. And if there's a lot of text on your slide, then you have a tendency to just sit there and read through it. And that's incredibly boring for the audience, and it doesn't keep you facing the audience. A lot of times you would be facing away to the presentation, to the slides, and that disconnects you from controlling the room. So keep your slides super simple with text so you aren't drawn to try to read them. You want to have practiced this a lot of times so you know the material well enough that you can talk through the talk without having a prompter in terms of a whole lot of text to read. Another important thing about presenting is stories. Stories are incredibly engaging. Telling a story or using a metaphor to make a point is one way to get people to remember and really internalize what it is that you're talking about. When you're speaking, be animated. Walk around. Don't pace frantically around, but you can move periodically across the space that you're in. It keeps people's eyes following you and people paying attention to you. Because when it comes down to it, you are the entertainment, both in terms of information, but also in terms of what people are going to be looking at apart from the slides. Also, try to have fun. Tell a joke. Put a slide in. In my presentations, I have a tendency to put a slide in, which is kind of a red herring, or it's a slide that doesn't really fit, or it's kind of a weird, quirky image. It kind of wakes people up, and it's always a good opportunity to tell a joke or to make some sort of funny reference. That's a great technique in engaging and keeping your audience awake and on their toes so they're not working on their phones or reading through their laptop. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, speaking is scary. Everyone gets a little nervous before they speak. Everyone gets butterflies, they get a little nervous. The thing to do when you get nervous about speaking is accept it. Just acknowledge it to yourself. If you try to fight it, it's going to make it worse. So expect that you're going to get a little nervous, and don't worry about it. Everyone is. So remember also, be human, be vulnerable. People have a tendency to identify with the speaker who's presenting to them, and they will more often than not give them some leeway to make mistakes or to, say something that doesn't really make any sense. Just acknowledge it. Be human. People are going to give you the latitude. Okay, so now moving on to the after bucket. So after your presentation, things went fabulous. You want to make sure that you leave extra time for questions and conversation. So if you're given a half hour to present, make sure you only have enough material for 25 minutes or even 20 minutes. Leave 5 to 10 minutes for conversation and questions. This period of time is really where things happen. It's where you connect with the audience, where you're able to really make your point and sell through what it is that you presented in a much more personal way than a formal way. And that's where things happen. So leave room and leave time for conversation. if things didn't go well, and it happens, the one thing you want to make sure you never do is you don't want to make excuses. You did the best job that you could. You prepared, you got up there, so you bombed. So what? Never make excuses. Don't admit the fact that it didn't go so well. Yeah, you can do it at the bar, later over lunch, say, boy, that was tough. Don't admit it when you're in the room. And at the end, like I said, ask if there are any questions, and always, always, always thank the audience for their time and for their attention. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to improve your presentation skills. And if you did, please hit subscribe below so you can see my videos when they come out. And visit me at philipvandusen.com/muse, M-U-S-E, and subscribe to my newsletter. It comes out every 2 weeks, and I share an insight and resources on graphic design and entrepreneurship for creative professionals and small business people. And with that, thanks again for watching. Bye for now.